Hey, what's up guys? This is Intrinsic, and today I kind of wanted to do a different kind of video. I've been thinking about a lot of different things just in general to streaming and just to life, and a lot of things that entertainers go through that people don't really understand and people get a lot of judgment for. And I just wanted to speak on one of those things today. So I've been streaming for about 4 years now. And streaming is a lot harder than people make it out to be. There's been a lot of companies that'll say things like, oh, well, anybody can be a streamer. Anybody can, turn on a webcam and turn on a game and just stream, right? But when you try to think of those kind of things, you realize that there's just people that will, stream for fun, which is totally fine. But there's definitely a difference between trying to stream on a set schedule and just streaming when you have time. And when you stream with a set schedule, it's almost like there's like these expectations of you, right? Where you're sitting there and you're having a fun time, but you get a hateful comment and someone's like, hey, I don't like your content. Your content is utter shit, and I really don't like what you're putting out there. And being somebody who really is a dreamer at heart and somebody who really likes to put out content, that can be something that can be really, really disheartening for people, right? Because as content creators, we definitely want the utter best for everyone in our community and everyone that we run across. We want everyone to feel accepted. We want everyone to feel loved. We want everyone to feel like they have a place to belong, right? Because a lot of people have gone through a lot of things that are just unspeakable, whether that be, losing friends to suicide, which I have myself, just losing people in general, losing friends in life, going through a hard time at school, going through a hard time at home. Us as streamers and content creators on YouTube and making music, whatever you do to be creative and to inspire people, right? We all want people to look at our content and be like, hey, I'm encouraged by that, and I'm going through a lot, but this is something that's very, very encouraging for me to see, is somebody who has also gone through a lot of things, being strong and pushing through that situation, right? But at the same time, people often forget that we are people as well. We go through a lot of things. I've been through a lot of stuff, and I've had a lot of times where I'm simply not strong enough to do it on my own. My community has stepped in for me and has been a huge help in my recovery and just going through a lot of different things, and they've been there for me, right? But a lot of times people don't understand that streamers, sometimes they need help, right? Even the biggest streamer you can think of, Ninja or Hamlin's or Daquan or whoever else, right? They go through stuff too. They go through life stuff, but they say, hey, I want to inspire people, and I want to sit there and I want to be strong so that I can encourage people that watch me, because I have a big influence and I want to make sure that I'm a positive influence for these kids that are watching me. And that's not always easy to do. A lot of times we go through a lot of stuff and it really weighs down on us, and we kind of shove it inside because we're like, hey, I don't want my audience to pick up on this vibe and to ask me what's wrong and to be vulnerable, and for people to share that around the internet. And for people to be like, hey, look at this dude being a bitch. He's sitting here and being emotional and talking about his life problems and going through all this stuff. But one thing that we should know as creators, right, is our audience prefers authenticity over fakeness, right? So if we're going to sit there and we're going to shove it all inside, eventually the people that are close to us are going to recognize that, and they're going to be like, hey, dude, I've noticed there's been something wrong lately. There's something that has been really genuinely tugging at your heart that I want to address with you, and this is something that you need to take seriously, right? But it really shouldn't be to that point, and I think that it's a common misconception that streamers and content creators have, that we can't show our real self, because if we do, we're gonna get attacked for it. It's the internet, right? So we're gonna show our emotions, and people are gonna be like, hey, don't do that. I don't like negativity. I came here for a positive stream. When in reality, people are so supportive and so loving and so kind to us, day after day. I've had people in my Discord tell me like, hey, me and my son watch you and we love your content, and you've really encouraged us going through a hard time at home or going through a hard financial situation, and people have literally given me money that they barely even have because I've encouraged them that much that they're going to give me some money that they could use for food or for rent or for other stuff like that. I never asked for that, but some people just find it in their hearts to do something generous like that for a streamer because the streamer has really genuinely encouraged them. And I think as streamers and content creators, we need to embrace the fact that being vulnerable is okay. It's okay to be vulnerable and to show your real self and to be like, hey, I'm not doing okay. And it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a month off a stream or post a video and say like, hey guys, I'm not really feeling it right now. I need to process all this stuff that's going on in my life, and that needs to be something that's more widely accepted. I feel like if we had more people in the higher influence brackets talking about that kind of stuff, that we would have people come out and be like, yeah dude, me too, I'm going through a lot of stuff as well, and that's really genuinely encouraged me. And I see this in other areas of media, like spoken word and stuff that's naturally more emotional, and more emotional people kind of gravitate towards that kind of stuff. But I definitely think when it comes to streaming and content creation, we need to definitely embrace it a lot more. And here comes the personal part of the story for me. So for me, I lost a friend fairly recently, and I didn't even know about it until he just stopped texting me randomly and he disappeared. And so I was like, hey, what's going on, dude? Are you all right? Is everything okay? And he never answered, and so I figured maybe he was just busy or something. But I actually found out that he passed away, and so that was really hard on me, already having lost my grandmother, which was somebody that I lived with my grandmother when I was younger. I was really close to her. All my family was really close to her, and so that was a really hard thing to go through. And in the midst of all this, I was thinking, how can I be a positive influence to my stream? And I was thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna, of course, acknowledge it and be like, hey, I'm going through these things. But at the same time, I wasn't being completely genuine, right? Because inside, I was like, hey, I am not okay. I'm gonna break down right now, and this is something that is so hard that it's tugging at every area of my life, and I just can't be strong anymore, right? And that's okay. That should be okay for us as content creators to be like, hey, I'm not all right, and that's all right. My community is here for me, and my community is gonna love on me anyways, even though I'm displaying this, vulnerability, and I'm being honest with people, right? And so for me, I was like, hey guys, I need to take about a month off of stream and a month off of everything, because this is just too much for me to deal with, right? And for me, that greatly helped me. It really helped me realize that when it comes to streaming, I had this perception that I couldn't display vulnerability and I couldn't be myself because, people wouldn't like that, right? And that comes from, childhood of me displaying my real self and people, rejecting that real self, and then displaying a fake image of myself and people liking that fake image, and so keeping that fake image. But I'm gonna kind of paraphrase what somebody told me in my Twitter DMs probably about a month ago or so. This guy is a guy who's watched my stream for probably about the last 5 years, and he was just honest with me. He's like, dude, it's okay that you're going through stuff, and we'll be here when you get back. Take care of yourself, make sure that you're doing everything you can for your community, but at the same time, if you need to take a step back, that's totally fine. And he told me, that I can be encouraging in other ways. I can make music, I can make YouTube, I can do things that don't stress me out as much, but streaming, which was something that I was not entirely doing correctly at the time, was something that really was tugging on me at the time. So I took a break, and I kind of realized that a lot of streamers, right, they see the numbers on their screen and they say, hey, this is depressing, man. I only have 3 viewers and I'm streaming 10 hours a day. I'm putting out super good content. and no one's coming by. You know, like, what's the problem? Like, you know, why does nobody like me? And it starts to become like a personal hit on yourself when you think that way, right? Because you're like, hey, I put out all this effort and I am doing a great job, so why is nobody loving me? And you start getting really genuinely upset with yourself because you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what is the reason behind all of this, you know, non-attention from my end, right? So you kind of think to yourself, all right, well, maybe I can adjust some things, and, you know, people still don't come by and you get more discouraged. But then I realize this one thing that I want you guys to remember today. You're more than whatever numbers you have on social media. If you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 or a million, whatever, you're not any better or worse than anyone else, right? You're still a human being. You still have a heart. You still have a brain. You still have the ability to encourage people, even in the smallest of ways. Even if you're just like, hey, I appreciate you to someone. Some people, you know, are having a really, really hard day, and that was the day they decided they were going to take their own life. And you said, hey, I appreciate you. And they're like, whoa, somebody appreciates me? Maybe there is a reason that, you know, I should stay and I shouldn't leave this all behind. And so I guess the moral of the story, guys, is when you're streaming, have fun. And don't be afraid to be yourself and to put that on display and to show emotion to your communities, because your communities genuinely love you. And I just want you guys all to know that you're loved no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, no matter what you choose to identify as, no matter what you do with your life. Everyone has a reason to be loved. And I just want you guys to remember that today.